up, guys? My name is Boomin, and welcome to a new episode of the Debrief. As you can see, it's a bit of a different setting this time. Usually it's online, but this time I'm offline, and I'm joined by a really special guest. And without further ado, please, Dylan, could you introduce yourself a bit for us?
Yeah, absolutely, man. My name is Dylan, also known as The Law, and I am the performance coach for the agency, which basically means that I guide the players through all of their performance pressure questions, always being able to be their best or be on the best form during the matches and stuff. And tremendously fun thing to do. So I'm very glad to be part of the team, and even more glad to be sitting here today with you.
I'm also really glad to be sitting next to you as well. It's been a long time, and I know a bit more about you than probably most of the viewers. But I still have some questions for you, because you're saying that you're the performance coach, and I was wondering, like, how did you get rolled into this? How did you manage to find this job within the Benelux Esports?
Well, I mean, that goes like a way back, because like I've been basically doing normal people coaching for about 8 years by now, and to basically specialize myself into that and to actually create a job in that, I decided to follow a studies that focuses on that. So I did my studies, I completed that, and at that point, like years back, I was personally like really good at League of Legends. Not anymore. Like I'm just sitting Diamond 4 with a decent win rate. It's respectable, but like back then, I was a very good player, and I quit for a couple of years. I came back in about the end of 2018, I believe it was, and I was like, let's try it again. Let's see if I'm still good. Went to a LAN with a couple of friends, and at that point I definitely realized that, I'm not that good anymore. I can't really compete with the new guys on the block. Why not combine the passion I have for coaching with the passion I've always had for gaming? And, from there on I started with Toxic Falcons, moved to Atra, ESLOL, was with Genk for a year, and now I'm here with the agency. So.
Okay. Interesting. So you do have a past as a gamer. And
yes, absolutely.
It instantly rings the question for me. So what's your favorite gamer moment? What's your favorite moment you've had in League as a player?
Dear God. I think that was playing in the Challenger Series and winning a game versus the team of ESLOL, where I was playing Gragas into his Orianna, and I almost completely one-shot their entire team with, like, the old AP Gragas, right?
I remember,
the barrel ult, that just completely one-shot an entire team. I think that was one of the most fun moments where I was like, actually, like I stood up out of my chair, literally started shouting, and that's just a memory that's really still vivid for me. Absolutely.
Of course, I can imagine this Gragas moment will be like really great. But you did also mention that you quit League for a while as well. You didn't play for a few years.
Absolutely.
And what made you quit?
Well, I basically got a bit bored of the game. Like I was grinding it so much, and having to stay at like the top of the ladder on Challenger is quite a taxing thing. Did that for 3 years, and then at that point I kind of realized that I would really like to be a pro gamer, but I don't want to commit to moving all the way to Germany and into a gaming house and all that kind of stuff. So at that point I figured, let's just chill a bit, actually enjoy gaming for a bit instead of fully grinding it. And for that reason I chose to quit, and I think it was for 2 years in total or something that I quit. I quit in 2016, came back in 2018, and then afterwards, like the passion was always still there, right? I still played it for fun. Gotta love my boy Twisted Fate. Like that's the one guy that always keeps pulling me back into League. But besides that, it was just nice having the opportunity to just go ahead and play some other games, have some fun, just get to know some more people on other different platforms, and from there on out, especially if you're combining it with studies, of course. Quite nice to have some chill time, if that makes sense.
Because talking about studies, you already mentioned that you studied for being a coach. You also coach people outside of esports, right?
Yeah.
And how do you feel like your studies, did they help you at all in your esports career? Or do you think it's like an advice? Is it an advice you could give to people, like if you want to become a good performance coach or coach in League of Legends, you should study for it? Because I think in esports right now, there's like many people who just like freestyle on a job. They don't really have like educational background, right? And you do. So I'm wondering on your take on this.
Yeah, I would certainly say so. I would say that you could go by with a course as well instead of an entire studies, right? But I think it just tremendously helps understanding where people are coming from, why they're reacting the way they're reacting, why certain people usually take a different role from others in a team environment, and just being able to really understand those group dynamics and be able to play onto that. I think that understanding is key in creating a good team and making sure that you do the right things at the right moment within the team. And I think Dipsy is a really good comparison to that. Like he came in like, hey, I'm just really smart about the game. I want to do some coaching. And that's a really fun way of working together as well, where we usually sit together. We just talk about coaching in general, talk about our different views and approaches. And he also says like, there's so many things like I just didn't know, which are, it's fun to hear. But I think like for him as well, he says it really helps him to create that understanding. And I would 100% say for any coach that really does want to, grow and improve as a coach, a studies or a course or whatever, broadening your experience is just really advisable for sure. I think it really helps.
Thanks. And this is for all the coaches out there. If you want to become the best, listen to the law. It's free advice here on the debrief once again. And you named a couple of teams. If I remember correctly, you said Toxic Falcons, Ethra, Echo Zulu, you have Genk, and you have TheAgencynl. If you would have to describe every team, we'll get to agency at some point, but all the teams prior in like 1 or 2 words, what words would you use for, let's say, Toxic Falcons first?
Oh dear God, unused potential.
Unused potential. Okay, and could you elaborate that a bit?
Yes, like we had quite a couple of decent players that were completely unknown, but a lot of them had like completely fucked up sleep schedules that I just couldn't change, and a lot of them just had the focus off of League. But I'm sure that if those people were able to commit and actually, get paid for their time at that time, they would have been able to actually create a really fucking good team, and perhaps even still be present in the ecosystem today, which they aren't. Very sad to say, but unused potential definitely. Really good players, but potential not fully utilized.
Okay, and hooking on this topic, right? You say some people. I mean, it sounds to me that they weren't coachable, maybe, right? I mean, so you're as a coach there, and your players, they don't have sleep schedules that you want. They don't really follow what you're telling them. And I'm wondering, like, did you have any players that were uncoachable? Do you feel like there, sometimes was like a situation where you feel like you really can't help someone, or is this always something you can do?
No, there are situations that like somebody would be considered uncoachable, but that's usually just on one field, right?
Okay.
Like those, like somebody can be uncoachable on their sleep schedule because it's something they've done since they were completely young. They're just not willing to change it. But I think like everybody has things that they're fully able to be coached in, and if it's not through, oh hey, you want to be coached, it's through confronting them and basically asking them questions to reflect on their world of thinking. But I mean, I have had 1 or 2 guys in the past. I was more so at the start of my career that were just, they weren't in for it. They were just there to play. They didn't care about anything else. Didn't really want to learn anything. They were just like, I'm a good player. I'm going to play. That's about it. And, that saddens me a little bit as a coach, whereas I'm like, you can always learn stuff and you can always, just open yourself up and see if you can make the best out of a situation. But yeah, regardless, I mean, I've been tremendously blessed with the players that I've met in this scene and everybody I've been able to play with, and a lot of them in all kinds of different manners have been wonderful to coach. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks. I think that's a good explanation for at least the Toxic Falcon part and of course the uncoachable part, because I can imagine like as a coach, you sometimes have these soft players to deal with. You're kind of feeling that you just have to be like the dad of a person, right? You have to like re-educate some of their...
You have to be the dad, you have to be the mother, sometimes you have to be the uncle,
Exactly.
You always have to position yourself in a certain way for every different player, and that's, it's a really fun dynamic. It makes it really fun to do.
Moving on, the next team is, I think, if I remember correctly, Ethra Esports.
Yes.
Toxic Falcons merged with another team. I believe it was Solwing back in the day. So if you would want to once again have to describe that period of your time in 1 or 2 words.
Yes, sad face.
Sad face, okay.
Yes, I would almost use the same term for Toxic Falcons, but the reason I'm saying sad face for Ethra is because we had a pretty decent lineup coming into the Belgian league, but a couple of like really heavy in real life stuff happened for a couple of the players, which made it basically like impossible for them to focus on actually playing the game, and that just it basically made it impossible to work with that team and to like bring them together, because everybody's minds were so over the place. And I mean, if really bad life stuff happens or really bad family stuff happens, like I understand you can't focus on that, but with a really decent lineup, we ended up running last, and that's something that I'll always look back at with a sad face. Yeah. Especially looking at the guys that we had, because we had a really fun team, we had a really fun amount of guys. Really high skill level as well for that age or time of age or like time of day, whatever you want to call it. But sad face. It was a really fun split, but the sad face with the way it ended for sure.
I can imagine. Then we come to the next team. I believe this is a team where we actually met as well.
Absolutely,
where I was still a player. Some people don't even know I'm presenting the debrief now and I do some coaching stuff, but I used to actually play like you did as well.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's fun for me to share my part of the story first, because
sure, man, go ahead. Absolutely.
I was talking about uncoachable players, right? And back then I feel like we really had like an uncoachable group. You know, we had MKA on top, we had Domi jungle, I believe we had Baba mid, and then we had either J Callum or Lunar AD carry. I don't really.
It was J Callum. We had Lunar at Atra, and I went over, and it was J Callum. And
we had J Callum AD carry and myself on support. And the thing was that we did have some coaches, and we did like in the past, right? We did have some coaches, but none of these coaches we like felt like they really added something. It was more like annoying to listen to them in reviews and stuff. Or like, dude, just shut up, man. Or you know, or they couldn't, you know, like. When you can't control the players, I don't feel like you're doing the job. I mean, I feel like the coach should really like have some control or have some respect from the players, right? Otherwise, the coaches can do his job and it won't work out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the thing was, we like decided after tryouting some coaches, like, okay, let's just play a split without a coach. We can do it ourselves, right? I mean, yeah, it's whatever, it's doable. But then we like completely just, I don't know, collapsed, like mentally boomed, and then we kind of realized, okay, we need a coach, and then we started looking like in the scene, okay, who is a guy that we know like could respect, and then like we instantly found you back then, and then I remember we had like a Discord call for over an hour, where I like kind of just explained our team, and I think after that you kind of like, I think it was the split where you first went to Ithra, and then you decided, okay,
you know, I'm going over.
I'm ready, and I'm just curious. Okay, so what was the challenge for you, like in joining EchoZulu?
I mean, I'm gonna be really honest. You kind of hyped me up the bad way, right? Where you said like, it's gonna be really difficult to coach. Are you sure you're ready for this? But if I'm being completely honest, it was a lot easier than I expected. Okay. Like I came in there, you guys were, you know, quite open to me. I did of course realize that some structure had to be brought in and some respect had to be created, but I think we did that decently well. Especially I think like Emke. He was playing mid lane, I believe. Like you guys were all role swapping or something. I came into the most chaotic mess possible, and you know, we were just talking about team dynamics and really trying to find a way to make it work. We even exchanged some players at a certain point due to, I believe it was motivation or.
Sebs and Donny, I believe they came in, right?
Yeah, Sebs and Donny came in instead of Domi and MK, I believe, because they didn't really want to commit to another split. Yeah. But no, like I would honestly say, the biggest challenge was not being able to scrim a lot. I think we scrimmed like once a week, and I'm still tremendously like proud of all of you guys for making that work as well as you did. Like almost beating Lowland Lions that ended up going first without any trouble after us. Or even LLL said, you know, you guys were by far the hardest team to face, and I think with one scrim a week, like you guys really made it happen, and that's something I'll always be proud of you guys for. But
it's a team effort. Like I said, you know, the coach is also part of the team. And okay, so we kind of already discussed some of the points, but if you have to like again use one or two words for that period of time, the EchoZulu time, what two words?
Brotherhood.
Brotherhood.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
I'll just, you know, you don't even have to ask me to explain. I'll do it myself.
Okay, go for it, man. Yeah.
No, like EchoZulu days were the days that I just, you know, I experienced like the biggest bond of brotherhood that I ever have in esports, if I'm gonna be honest. Because like it wasn't only with the players, it was also with the entire organization, with Krea there, with Serdal there, always, you know, doing watch parties or after a game setting up like a win ARAM or whatever it was. It just felt really special to me, and you know, I admitted it to you guys when like after a year of being in EchoZulu, when I had to make the decision to go to Genk because I was going to move and I wouldn't have enough time to be a head coach, so I would have to fill an assistant position, but that wasn't really going to work. Like I literally broke down fucking crying when I had to leave you guys, and that's just because I felt so connected to all of you guys and to the entire organization and the culture that was there. Brotherhood is the word I would use to describe it, and yeah, it's a word I cherish to this day still.
Yeah, thanks for explaining. Yeah, really, I feel exactly the same, and I think honestly, like looking back on what was one of my most favorite splits, I would say the one with like even though I love Domi and Emke, like the one with Sebs, Donny, Baba, J Callum, and I just felt like that team just like really clicked. You know, everything was there. We had the highest performance. I think that was like my peak days, as in how good I was at League and like as a team player. So thanks, bro. Yeah, it's a great time to look back upon. You know, like not much drama, because honestly, like in esports, like you said, in the other teams there was always something. You know, and I felt like we kind of lowered the drama and could really
definitely
really focus, even though the limited scrim time we had. But okay, you already mentioned it. You decided to move to Genk. like mostly because of the time commitment, right?
Yep,
You decided,
absolutely.
I can't fulfill the main coach position, and you wanted to be more specialized in the performance part, if I understand correctly.
That's correct.
Do you see yourself as like, okay, so imagine you have like 40 hours a week to coach an esports team.
Yeah.
Would you still prefer to have a performance coaching role, or would you then, do you like still have something inside of you, like, I want to be the head coach of the team?
Well, like I will always, like I'm just gonna be honest, I will always prefer being a head coach because I really like having all of the control on the decisions that are being made. Because I have a lot of faith in myself and being able to properly assess the needs of a team and then also assign the correct decision to be made within the context of that team, right? Or within the context of whatever issue is at hand. I'm tremendously happy to be fulfilling that performance coaching role, especially because I'm getting to work, especially at this point as well with Dipsy, right? With tremendously like knowledgeable gameplay coach. But yeah, the issue at hand is I'm not really focused on gameplay. I know a lot about it, but I'm not tremendously good at, analyzing things and bringing across the gameplay aspect. I'm just really good on the person side of things. So I like being in charge. I like making the decisions. But the problem at hand is I would have to also look out for a strategic coach, properly position that guy. And I think in this day and age, most efficient, the way the current ecosystem is set up, is probably performance coaching. So that is what I'll stick to for as long as I have to. But if like for myself, my nature would always say head coach is the thing I'm usually best at still.
Okay. So all right, the head coach position is something that you will probably be shining in at some future point. Sorry. Stepping over to your next team after ESLOL, you decide to join Genk. We already discussed this. How did this process look for you? Like the first year at Genk. So maybe again in 1 or 2 words, describing your time at Genk Esports.
I would describe my time at Genk with 2 very simple words: a free win.
Okay.
Like the best way I can describe that is like if I look at my entire career, right? I consciously started as low as I could with no budget, with unknown players, just so I could like try and work my way up and see every layer that Benelux Esports had to offer, so I could really properly understand, really properly gain experience with all kinds of different issues, all kinds of different motivation, team dynamics. I wanted to see as much as I could, and I really consciously tried to work from low, like Toxic Falcons, no budget that we had at all, to ESLOL, where we actually had a pretty nice budget, and we even against all odds with the second lineup got second on in the Dutch league, which was really nice. And then from that point on, I was like, okay, I'm here now. I've learned a tremendous amount at ESLOL. I'm gonna have less time. I'm not gonna be able to head coach as much as I did, working until 3 a.m. At certain points to reduce some tilt from players, which is completely fine. It was really fun, but I went to Genk with the idea of it doesn't matter what happens. For the time that I'm here, I really just want to set a win, And then the Elite Series came around, and we got a really nice budget from the organization, which I think we were able to bring in a lot of really good players, and we even brought in Moops, which was like everybody in the league was like, wait, how? It was a really big deal, and that paid off, right? But the weird thing is I felt like I had the least amount of impact I ever had in past teams on that lineup, right? Like people were really experienced. I just wasn't really able to completely find my footing within coaching within that team. It's like I didn't really see, what can I still offer these guys? And with a lot of experience also comes a lot of, I already know this, and I think I already know that, and I didn't feel as useful, but like we were still able to take home the win, and it just felt kind of free with the players that we had, if I'm going to be completely honest, right? Like, of course, I did a lot of stuff, and I did a lot of drafting as well, and Arben did as well, the coach that I worked with. But I felt like, as opposed to previous splits where you put in a lot of hard work and we just got so close to winning, this one was just, it didn't feel at any point of time that, with this lineup we were going to lose or whatever. It was just, we have this lineup, we should win, and we did, and that's the end of it, if that makes sense.
And then I'm wondering, because this was also the first split where you weren't like head coach, right? You have to cooperate mostly with someone. He was in charge of the shots, And I'm wondering, like, because you said like there's more experienced players, so it was more challenging for you to find your footing and find a way to like have impact on the team.
Absolutely.
And if you like have to like describe a persona, like a fictional player, what's your favorite type of player to coach? What's like a player?
Oh,
like,
my dear God.
So what type of player do you enjoy coaching the most?
I mean, if I'm gonna be completely honest, right? I would describe that player as Case.
Okay.
Like Case has all of the aspects I enjoy in a player that, you know, still slightly inexperienced, still has a lot to learn, open to learning as well, good mental, doesn't tilt from this one bad happening, and it's just really eager to improve. I think like that is the easiest and the most fun to work with. But if I'm gonna flip that around, I also really enjoy people that are, you know, a bit difficult to work with. I think, you know, I gave a talk about this at the Dutch Technology Festival.
Yeah.
Where I gave a throwback to working with a player called Lunar or Ramazan, where he was really difficult to reach at first, and he was really like had issues trusting people and whatever. And like he was one of the most challenging players for me to reach and you know, to work with, help him establish new boundaries and help him like develop new skills and new people skills. But that is in turn also like one of the most beautiful experiences that I've had coaching. So. Whereas like the one I prefer working with is the guy that's always eager and always wanting to learn and really easy to work with. I really enjoy like one of the challenges as well, especially if it's like, you know, I really have to bring out all of my coaching techniques that I've learned. I really try to reach someone. That's also tremendously fun to be able to you know, discover that challenge together.
So Henk, free win. You did manage to rack up some wins. You reached the EU Masters. You kind of like didn't like, I would say you finished the game, uitgespeeld in Dutch, you know, you played it out, you like finished the campaign basically, right?
Kinda,
on the Benelux level.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Exactly. And I'm wondering then, because now you're sitting here in your agency t-shirt, and you're back in the old ESLOL squad, and I'm wondering, what was the mindset going through? So did you feel like you had it all at Genk and you wanted to try something new, or what was the motivation behind your move away from Genk?
Well, I mean, the moment I left ESLOL, I always already said that, you know, I will be back without a doubt, right? The moment I can, and I will be back. The moment I can, and that is kind of exactly what I did, right? Like I achieved what I wanted at Genk. I reached my goal of, you know, ending the campaign basically. And at that point, you know, I got a couple messages from Kreia just before you guys were even heading into playoffs about, you know, the issues that they were having. Gave a bit of advice, gave a bit of help regarding that. And then, you know, he just approached me and he asked, like, hey, like we kind of need exactly what you offer, right? Like we have Dipsy, who's really good at strategic. We still need someone who's really good at like creating a dynamic and bringing people together and providing structure specifically. And yeah, you know, especially when I heard you guys were heading over to a new organization and there will be a lot more things coming as well. It was just a really easy choice for me. I heard that, I went into conversation, played EU Masters, and after EU Masters I made the decision to move towards the agency. But you know, of course I had everything at Genk and I could have still had everything at Genk, but you know, I just enjoyed working with ESLOL more because of that brotherhood aura that was still there and still is there, luckily. You know, that's a tremendously good surprise. And I'm tremendously happy to still be here with the agency, to be sitting here today with you, and to be working with the team that we're working with. It's been an absolutely fun split, and I hope that we'll be able to, you know, finish it in the best way as possible.
We all do, at least here, here at the agency. And okay, so you managed to rack up all the wins, you know, in the Benelux with Genk. You went to EU Masters. You decided to move over to the agency.
Yep.
And of course, you're not here for that long of a period. Like it's the first split. You were here, right? But how would you describe the first time at the agency in 2 words as well?
I would say fun improvement.
Okay.
Because you know, I've been having a lot of fun since I've made the move towards the agency with all of the players, all of the, you know, with Dipsy, Nightmares as well, the coaches, and then also with the entire organization. And I think like this split, we're really focused on that improvement, working hard, you know, really, it just feels really easy to work and improve with the people that we're with. And it just helps that we have so much fun while doing it as well. Like, especially like we have the voice com segments as well now on YouTube and stuff. And you can just hear these guys having an absolute blast. And even Kruimel, who, you know, seemed like a bit of a more silent player to me, just hearing him shout and scream, you know, like, oh, where you going? When he's playing Victor, you know. there's so much fun in that team, and that just makes it tremendously fun to work and improve with together with these people.
You already touched on the team, but I'm also curious, of course, working together with Dipsy. I mean, Dipsy is a staple, you know, in the Benelux scene. Dipsy drafts is like
the Dipshit Awards as well.
Dipshit Awards. This guy has been around. Like, how did you experience working with him for this split?
I mean, just really easy. I can't say anything else. Like from the moment we met and we sat together when we started working together, exchanging our views, it's just been tremendously easy, and like it's a really easy ride, if I'm gonna be honest, right? Like we think a lot of the same things, but then also like he has a lot of like tremendously in-depth gameplay knowledge, and I bring the in-depth coaching knowledge, and when we're able to combine that, set out strategies. You know, we have this issue. How are we gonna fix that? Or do we do an exercise? Do we do a presentation about this? Do we just talk to specific players that are part of that? And you know, it just offers a lot of workability and a lot of versatility in what we can do and what we can offer. And I mean, I literally spoke to him about this like 3 days ago or something, and he's like, bro, it's been so good working together. It's been so easy, and I just couldn't agree more with what he's saying. It's
that's nice to hear, and a slight shout out to Dipsy here as well. You know, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Okay, and looking back at this first split, of course, like for me as an outside viewer, of course, I do have some inside knowledge, you know, from the team, but I think from an outside perspective, it looked that Agency really had a tough few weeks. The first few weeks, I think many teams in the league were still trying to find their footing, trying to find a place that suits them. I think the Agency was also a team that really didn't look as strong as, you know, people would
definitely,
you know, think in the start. But then we had like a crazy 8-game win streak, you know, where we kind of demolished everyone except Henk, right? And now we have an 0-2 week. So now people are starting to doubt the team a bit, you know. Are they still as strong as everyone thought? Is Henk going to be beaten? Because, you know, honestly, the last game of the split, right, against Henk, it was a really close game, but in the end, Henk did manage to beat the Agency.
Absolutely.
And I'm wondering, how was the split for you as a performance coach? How did you view this part? Is it also, we had a really rough start, then we had like a honeymoon phase, and now, you know, we're kind of, you know, like all the alarms are going off? Or how did you experience?
I wouldn't describe it as that at all, even though I could tremendously well understand that outside point of view, right? Beginning of the split was a little bit rough, but that was also because, like, you know, we have 2 new players, which are still quite new as to playing competitive, and case, you know, swapping roles as well. So we had some performance issues on that part. A couple of players were really experiencing the pressure of like a new split starting, and that's something I set out to work on from the beginning, right? Especially with Case, for example, really taking the deep dive into that competitive pressure, helping him with that, doing some exercises, some like, you know, envisioning things and using specific sounds to help accommodate him to working under pressure and feeling comfortable under pressure.
Don't leak too much, by the way. The other teams can also.
No, I mean, I can say what I'm doing, but like, you know, it's fine. It's fine.
Don't give the details.
I would honestly like to see more teams doing so. So it's completely fine to share info regarding that as well. But anyway, like that process takes a little bit, and then, you know, after we got rid of that pressure, like the disconnect that was causing us to not look as strong as we were also disappeared, you know, like people were comfortable playing. The way that we played in scrims translated more to the actual competitive setting. And then from there on out, we started playing tremendously solid together. I can only say that, you know, a couple of, I think like 3 or 4 complete stomps where he gave enemy like only 1 or 2 kills, and, you know, always being in control. And you know, last week it's it's a bit of a bummer. I'm just gonna have to be honest, right? But that's not necessarily because that's the end of a honeymoon phase or whatever you want to call it, right? Like we've already passed that. That was before the competitive split even started, and then, you know, you have more phases, which the one I always find the most interesting is the storming phase. We passed that already as well, but right now, this week was just out of our control, as I would describe it, right? Couple of situations as to which people weren't able to get some sleep. The intense heat also is completely demolishing Dragnar, so to say, right? With all due respect to him, I'm tremendously happy that he was able to recover and play on Wednesday. But, you know, this week is just an accumulation of circumstances that were very unlucky. You know, can't really change anything about that. But what I said to the team and what I said to Dipsy as well is, like, the one thing I'm really happy about is that even in our by far worst week, we are still so close in a match against the second best team.
Okay, the second best team, you're saying, yeah, because the the rivalry is like really here, right? Like Henk and Agency are kind of like seen within the community. Of course, MCon is like like how do you say,
they're
breathing,
up there, but they're not really
breathing
up
in
there,
the neck, you know.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
I mean, they're also like scaling in the split, right?
Yep,
and then you have
absolutely.
7 AM with like the X factor, right? You know, like with these unorthodox comps, playing
Yep.
around Topala, playing around MVP from, you know, the Debrief MVP
Yeah,
at least,
yeah, yeah.
Jaguar. And I'm curious, like this rivalry between you and Genk, and you also coming over from Genk.
Yep.
Is it not a bit emotional, like, or is there not like a still, you know, like I'm playing against my former team, and I'm just like curious.
I mean,
how
of
this
course,
feels to you.
for me, that's there. Like there's an increased like hunger to win. Even
Okay, yeah.
of course, you want to beat your old team, you know. But like I'm gonna say this honestly, I'm always gonna say this. Like even if they would win, I would be tremendously happy with that because like they are good guys. They deserve to win regardless. I just want to be the one to deserve it more and
Yeah.
you know take home that win. So I'm gonna assume that's the same for them. At DTF or Dutch Technology Festival where we played them at the show match. We also had some very fun contact and rivalry, and I think that's definitely going to translate through the split.
Okay. And looking towards, because the regular split just finished, you know,
Yep.
like we share the first spot, but they won the match, you know, so
Yep.
they're technically on number 1 and we're on number 2. But we're playing the Juggernaut match against
Yep.
them next week on Sunday, I believe, on the 31st of July.
Yep.
How do you see this playing out? How do you envision, what's your vision about this best of 5 we're going to play against Genk?
Well, as I always say, the best of 5 starts after game 1. So as for game 1, I'm not going to give any guarantees. You know, one team is going to win or the other team is going to win. Could be a complete stomp. Doesn't really matter. The best of 5 starts after game number 2. But yeah, I think it's going to be a decently close one still because I do still think Genk is definitely a really strong team. I think we do kind of have them figured out with what we need to bend at this point. Like we used the last match against them to gather some information of what they will play when their comfort will be gone and, you know, what they would actually be good on. So I think we gathered some tremendously useful information and kind of even focused on that more than specifically, hey, we need to win this game. It's the most important thing. Like we didn't really care about that. Would have been nice, but whatever. We got the information that we wanted. And now we're just going to move forward with, you know, I can give a small spoiler of like picking up a specific new play style that is going to work well against them. And then, you know, with the other play styles that we have that works tremendously well against the other teams, that versatility should be offering us the key to victory.
Yeah, so yeah, a really interesting take, and we'll see how it all plays out. Of course, on the 31st of July, we're going to play the Juggernaut match against KRC Genk Esports. And then, you know, all the doubts, all the questions will be answered, you know, and we'll see who the first like candidate is from the ESLOL who is going to represent our region in the EU Masters. Of course, you've already been there with Genk, and now, you know, it's a challenge for you to be there with the agency as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it for me. Honestly, DeLaw, thank you so much for joining me today, and I really hope that, you know, we'll manage to win this split at least as the agency. We didn't win the regular split, at least win, you know, the playoffs as well.
We won it in our hearts. It's fine.
And it's really nice. It gives me energy as well, hearing you speak, seeing the performance you guys have as a team, because honestly, like, you know, the whole organization is, you know, working around the team, and the team is absolutely. Like, everyone is looking at the team. Of course, there's some social media around it, right? But the team is the one who has to perform, and when a team is winning, it's way more easy to find out, you know, or make some new, like, funny memes or something, right? So yeah, thanks a lot, and have a safe trip home. I'm not sure if you're going to stick around because the weather is more than fine, if you ask me. And guys, yeah, we'll see you on the next episode of the Debrief, which will be online again on twitch.tv/TheAgencynl. And thank you all for watching.